Welcome to SpitFireMods. Today we will be installing one of our fan mods. It's going in a fat unit. It is a AO1, and we will be installing the Rev B fan mod. It's our second generation fan mod. It's a fan mod circuit which you will receive from us with the fan mod assembled. It's basically just a small chip that you're going to wedge in your case somewhere, and then it has a harness to make it install a little easier. Everything's hot glued to keep from shorting out. A couple little spots that aren't hot glued we're going to hit when we install it. And the fan mod installs on the bottom of the unit, and two of the wires, the red and black wire, run up here. The red wire attaches to the rightmost wire on your power supply. So what we can do is we can actually disconnect this cable, and then we can attach that and then reconnect it when we're ready to go. So what you're going to want to first know is how assembled your unit. You should have your power supply bolted in. You should have your ground strap lugged down. You should have your Wi-Fi antenna wired down. You should have your front controller card for your Wi-Fi adapter and everything in the front here wired bolted down. Power supply, Wi-Fi, your clamps are on your GPU. All of the housing frame screws are out, so all your coarse thread screws around the frame are out, and your power switch assembly is not in. And your bolt right back here, your chassis bolt that goes through the back of the chassis, is not in. And the reason being, we want to be able to do this. We want to be able to take our bottom shell off. So once our bottom shell is removed, we're going to flip our unit over, and we're going to rotate it so that the power supply or the USB adapters are on the front right side of us for easy installation. And then we're going to take our fan mod, and we're going to want to install it directly next to the existing fan plug. And so you want to find a nice little spot where you can stick it in here and keep it from getting too squished or anything, or shorting out on anything. So probably right in there, right in there like that's probably going to be the best bet. That way we can hot glue it into the plastic, which is going to give us a good insulator. So what we're going to do is take some hot glue, apply that to the bottom of our fan mod, and then securely attach that right there, which should give us plenty of room, and we should not be shorting out against anything. And then in addition to that, we're going to tack our wires there with a little bit of hot glue, and also hit the plug with some hot glue, and make sure that we're securely attached on both sides with some hot glue. So if you take that apart, you're going to want to pry that off before you remove all your assembly. You're going to want to pry that off out of place first. And hot glue is pretty much the best choice. It doesn't melt with the operating temperature of the PS3, but it also keeps everything in place, and it's removable later. If you just get a flathead screwdriver in there, you can just slowly work the chip back out without damaging it. Now, the yellow wire is our fan injection wire. It attaches to the gray wire. So I'll be right back. I need to get a set of cutters. Alright, so we're going to trim our yellow wire about 2 inches. We're going to need to strip that, or just take a very small stripping off the tip. And then we're going to want to pre-solder all our connections on this. Now, the best way I've found is simply to strip back the insulation on your gray wire right at the base, making sure not to cut all the way through the wire, but just to strip it back. Alright, so exposing the wire, and then we're going to pre-solder that wire as well. The hard drive's removed for this installation as well, so that you can slide the unit in and out of the case easy. Now once both are pre-soldered, we're going to tack them together. Alright, and then make sure you're securely attached. And then we use a little bit of liquid tape and some hot glue once it's in place. Which once dried should keep you insulated for the life of your unit. And we're going to grab the plug and reinstall that. And then reinstall our wires back in the routing path they normally would take. Make sure you don't drop any solder balls or any small wiring in here while you're working. And then I typically like to just touch that up with a little bit of hot glue just to make sure everything's going to stay in place. And actually everything looks pretty good. Alright, now the next thing to do is take our red and black wire and kind of slide it under the edge of the hard drive case. If that's not going smoothly though, you want to just tuck it in the side there and attach that with some hot glue as well, because that's going to get pinched in the case when you put it back together. Alright, so once that's securely in place and you know you have a good insulator there to keep it from shorting, you're going to take your housing now and put it back into their bottom case. Okay, so everything should be in there tight. You want to try to make sure you have your wires insulated on the edge. They shouldn't be binded. Now we're going to need to connect our red wire back to our power line, so we're going to shorten that a little bit. Always leave a little extra slack in case you have trouble stripping. You can correct your mistake without ending up too short. Pre-solder that, and then your black wire is already stripped, although we don't need that much length. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut that back as well. Oh, just like that. I snipped it too short, but I'm going to run mine all the way to the right hand side, which also leaves me a little extra slack should I need to do anything special with that ground wire later. So I'm going to pre-solder the tip of that wire so when I lug it down under the screw, it doesn't cut it. Sometimes it'll cut it from the shear on that. And then we're going to take our plug, which when placed like this, it's going to be the rightmost wire again, so it's on the right hand side. And we're going to strip back right at the base of the plug, which helps keep it from potentially shorting out on anything. We're going to strip back our wire again. Just enough to expose the wire. Alright, and then with that exposed, we're going to pre-solder that. We got a little bit of burn on our wire there, so we want to scrape that clear and get a better connection, so we have some good solderable connection. And we're going to attach those two together. I'm going to check to make sure it's securely attached, and we're going to plug in our bottom wire. You're going to put some liquid tape on that. You know, if you had to, you could use shrink tubing or electrical tape, whatever insulator you find to work for you. We've recently got in some of the wire tap splices. We might try tap splicing these to make it solderless, so you don't have to solder anything using tap splices. Just got to get the tap splice for the right gauge wire that you have. Now here we're going to tuck our wires kind of out of our way here and hot glue them again. The reason being is we don't want these wires moving around a lot, because that can cause them to short out. And then we're going to go ahead and loosen our power supply screw. That would normally be done with a Phillips, but I only have a flathead over here right now, so I'm going to use a flathead. Alright, make sure that's secure and didn't break our wire. Tack that down nicely, and then we're going to hot glue that as well so that it's not going to go anywhere. And then that's it. Our fan mod is installed and ready for use. So we're going to go ahead back out to our workbench and test that out. What you're going to notice when your fan mod's installed is the fan is not really elevated to a noise level. It's elevated to a speed. So the speed is going to be fast enough to get the heat out of the unit, but it's at idle, it's not going to be loud and annoying, so you're not really going to be able to tell by hearing. But what you're going to notice is when you first turn the unit on, the fan usually does a little boost, and now it's going to do 2 or 3 times the boost, and then it's going to drop down to a more than bearable speed. So that's the installation of the fan mod. You're going to be using a red, black, and yellow harness. If you don't have a harness on yours, you'd have the earlier model, which is just going to be a reddish, yellowish, blackish wire, typically black with a neutral color, and then a reddish wire to show the 3 different connections that we made. The red goes to your power supply connection, the yellow goes to your bottom fan gray wire, which is the fan wire that runs the fan, and then your black wire goes to ground. And then we're going to go give this a test, and we should be good to go. Thanks for watching.